In 1970, a psychiatrist in Birmingham, Alabama, wrote down 5 words that should have changed everything: paranoid schizophrenic with homicidal impulses. The patient was a 23-year-old man named Jack Harrison Trawick. Those 5 words were a prediction, and for the next 22 years, nobody did anything to stop what was coming. There's this moment in 1970 where someone actually writes it down. A psychiatrist sits across from Jack Harrison Trawick and puts it in his file: paranoid schizophrenic with homicidal impulses. And they let him go. 2 years later, Jack Trawick is driving through downtown Birmingham when he sees 17-year-old Betty Jo Richards. He later said that he decided he wanted to, quote, do something to her. That's how he phrases it: do something, like she's a project. He forces her into his car with a knife. He drives her to Quinton, Alabama. Witnesses report a white man chasing a screaming lady into an alley. This is happening in public. This is frenzy playing out where people can watch. He stabs Betty Jo Richards more than 10 times in that alley. Then he walks away. He goes back to his life in Birmingham. The case goes cold, and Jack Trawick, the man diagnosed with homicidal impulses, remains free for 20 more years. According to Trawick's later confessions, he travels. In 1978, he claims he strangled a woman in Alaska, threw her body off a ferry between Prince Rupert and Ketchikan. That method of disposal almost guarantees you'll never find the body. That same year, he says he strangled a female hitchhiker while visiting his sister in Oregon. Hitchhikers in the late 70s were almost invisible to law enforcement. Transient, almost nobody reported them missing for weeks. These confessions were never corroborated with physical evidence, but they fit the profile of someone who understands that if you kill in different jurisdictions, if you keep moving, the dots never get connected. By 1980, something shifts in Trawick's approach. He gets arrested for phone harassment, calling women and telling them their husbands have been killed or seriously injured. He's getting off on their immediate terror, that moment where their world collapses. This is a different kind of violence. No blood, there's no body, no forensic evidence. Psychological torture delivered through a phone line. He also starts impersonating police officers, gets sentenced to 2 years for it. He learns that authority makes people comply. A badge, a uniform, that can get you what you want. By 1992, whatever was holding Jack Trawick together disintegrates. He later describes his need to kill as an addiction. He writes, quote, "The body rush from murder does become addictive. It altered brain chemistry and physical need." Like some people need heroin, apparently Jack needed to kill. On June 17th, 1992, he encounters Aileen Pruitt. She's 26, recently separated, dealing with the cocaine addiction. Vulnerable in all the ways that make someone an easy target. He picks her up in Birmingham. She tells him to drive to a dirt road behind Hillcrest Hospital. It starts as a transaction. Then it becomes a slaughter. He stabs her in the throat to stop her from screaming, but he doesn't stop. When they eventually find Aileen Pruitt's body 2 days later, the medical examiner counts 57 stab wounds. 57. The number tells you this is rage that's been building for decades, finally finding an outlet. There's this detail from his confession. He says he felt a moment of remorse when he found a photo of her young son in her purse. Not remorse for Aileen, remorse for the kid. The mother was just an object to him. 4 months later, October 9th, 1992, Trawick is at a shopping mall when he spots Stephanie Gach. She's 21, a college student going about her normal day. He hunts her. He follows her from the mall to her apartment complex, watches her routine, waits until she's transitioning from her car to her home. That parking lot is where he makes his move. He's got a gun. It's a toy, plastic, completely fake, but Stephanie doesn't know that. He forces her into his white Toyota van. The fake gun is brilliant in a terrible way. It gives him control without the noise of a real weapon. Authority and the appearance of danger get compliance. He drives her to an isolated area near Grants Mill Road. He beats her with the ball-peen hammer. He strangles her. He stabs her through the heart with an 11-inch knife. He throws her body off an embankment. Then he goes home, cleans the blood out of his van, scrubbing carpet, wiping down surfaces. This is a man who knows cleaning up a crime scene matters. That's how you keep from getting caught. This detail becomes crucial later when his lawyers try to argue insanity. How do you claim you can't understand right from wrong when you're destroying the evidence? Within weeks of killing Stephanie, there are reports of attempted abductions around Birmingham. Multiple women describe a white Toyota van. On October 26, 1992, police bring Trawick in for questioning. In the second interview, detectives ask him directly about the Stephanie Gach murder. By the third interview, on October 29th, he cracks. In the fourth interview, that same day, he confesses to everything. The real evidence comes from the van. Forensic scientists find fibers on Stephanie's sweater that match the carpet in Trawick's van. The same with the duct tape over her mouth. Luminol reveals blood traces on tarp, on the carpet, on that ball-peen hammer, on the 11-inch knife. The van is a mobile crime scene. Every surface tells the story. When Jack Trawick goes to trial in 1994 for capital murder, his defense is not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect. His lawyers present his entire psychiatric history. The prosecution walks the jury through the crime. He stalked Stephanie from a mall. He used a fake gun, drove her to an isolated location. He cleaned his van. These are actions of a predator who knows what he's doing and he wants to get away with it. During the trial, Trawick's mother testifies about how her son was emotionally restricted, she said. When Trawick's father died, despite him being close, Jack never shed a single tear. The jury rejects his insanity defense. Jack Trawick is convicted of capital murder and sentenced to die by lethal injection. In 1995, he stands trial for Aileen Pruitt's murder. The jury hears an audio tape of his confession describing those 57 stab wounds, his momentary remorse over the photo of her son. He's convicted again, sentenced to life without parole. Jack Trawick ends up on death row in Holman Correctional Facility. And you'd think that's where the story ends, but Trawick finds a way to keep killing, but in a different form. He starts corresponding with the pen pal who runs a website dedicated to his crimes. Through this person, Trawick begins publishing sadistic pornography, detailed accounts about his murders. He describes the mechanics of strangulation. He writes, quote, "I would do the whole thing again, knowing death row was waiting for me." He's not expressing remorse anymore. He's reliving the crimes. He also creates drawings, graphic sketches of mutilated women, headless corpses, torture scenes. In 2007, he tries to sell these drawings online. The situation exposes a massive loophole. Prison officials can screen physical mail, but content sent to third parties who publish it online is protected by the First Amendment. Trawick has figured out how to weaponize the internet. The outrage pushes Stephanie's mom, Mary Kate Gach, into advocacy. She becomes a driving force behind legislation to prevent killers from profiting from their crimes and redirect any money to victims' families. For 15 years, his legal team fights the execution. On November 17, 2008, the Supreme Court denies his final appeal. On June 11, 2009, Jack Harrison Trawick is prepared for execution. His last meal is fried chicken, French fries, onion soup, and a roll. In his final words, the man who spent years taunting mothers offers an apology. He says, quote, "I wish to apologize to the people whom I've hurt, and I ask their forgiveness. I don't deserve it, but I do ask for it." Whether that apology is real or one final manipulation, we'll never know. He's pronounced dead at 6:17 p.m. by lethal injection. The thing about Jack Trawick's case that stays with me is that 1970 diagnosis: paranoid schizophrenic with homicidal impulses. Someone wrote that down. Someone knew. and the system let him walk right back out into Birmingham, Alabama. Betty Jo Richards died in 1972. Aileen Pruitt died in 1992, stabbed 57 times. Stephanie Gach died 4 months later. Stephanie's mom didn't just simply grieve, she fought. She turned her rage into legislation. She made sure killers like Trawick couldn't profit from the worst things they've ever done. The case didn't end with the execution. It ended with a mother who outlasted her daughter's killer, and she changed the law. That is the legacy, not Trawick's twisted writings or his drawings. The legacy is the families who survived him and made sure he didn't get the last word. Thanks for listening to 10-Minute Murder, bingeable true crime stories. My name is Joe. Happy to be your host. And here's an email from one of you that listens. Subject, that Tylenol story detail messed me up. Hey, Joe. I've heard the Tylenol murders covered a lot, but the way you explained it, how quickly the fear spread, really stuck with me. The part about the stores pulling the products off the shelves before anyone even knew what was happening was something that I never really thought about before. I always knew it was a big case, but I don't think I understood how fast it changed daily life until you laid it out like that. That detail made it click in a way that it never had before. Lauren in Naperville, Illinois. And Lauren, thank you for the email. And I can tell you, when I was researching that case, I knew that it was a big case. I'd heard about it multiple times before, but when I was looking into it, it seemed like to me that there was just panic everywhere. No one really knew what was going on, and I'm legitimately surprised that Tylenol was able to weather the storm in that. I'm surprised it's still a company after that big, huge thing that happened. And if you're listening right now and you're like, what in the heck is he even talking about? It's the Tylenol murders. It's a story I covered back some time ago on the podcast. If you search for it, you'll find it. It was a crazy case. All right. If you're a brand new listener to the podcast, welcome in. Make sure you hit subscribe wherever you're listening right now. If you're an OG listener, my whole heart loves you and yours. Make sure you go to 10minutemurder.com and check out all the things that are there, including signing up for the weekly newsletter that I send out. You can also read the murder blog and email me like Lauren did. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you are sharing it with your friends and your family. That's all I ask. And that's going to do it. That is your episode for today. Thank you again for listening to 10 Minute Murder. See you next time.